Hello, Fernando.
Hi, Amy. How are you?
Fine, thank you. And yourself?
We're doing very well here in Barcelona. It's a sunny day today, so beautiful.
At least you can enjoy it from the balcony, just not leaving the house, right?
Exactly. We are not
Yeah.
allowed these days, unfortunately. What about you? How are you doing?
It's very well. Everything, I'm grateful, to be in Kenya. Everything is fine. We're not as limited as you, not a total lockdown, but still being careful. I'm still just trying to limit myself and prepare for a situation that could be like yours. But we're here, and despite everything going on outside, we're still trying to keep the sports industry going and try to shed some positive light.
Good.
Yes,
Very good.
I'm very happy to have you on. I'm particularly excited to speak to you. You've been, a huge part of my growth and this summit coming together. So I'm glad that I get to speak to you where everyone else can, hear this and also learn a lot from you. So of course, to everyone that's viewing, if you have any questions for Fernando as we speak, you can just put them in the comments as usual. Leave a comment and I'll just pause my line of thought and ask Fernando and let him answer the questions for you. So, Fernando, please tell us more about yourself, about who you are, how you got into sports, and whatever you want the audience to know about you.
Okay, well, before I do that, let me give you two remarks. The first one is that thank you very much for inviting me to the summit. I'm very happy to be part of this. I want to congratulate you and your team for having the idea, the talent, and the energy of putting this together in these difficult times. So congratulations for that. And the second thing, coming from a city of Barcelona, in a country that has been impacted so heavily by the COVID-19, I can stress the importance of sharing with you that you need to take all this very seriously because it's going to spread around the world. And it seems like it's not been taken too seriously in some parts of the world, and it's devastating. So these were my two remarks to start my speech today. So talking about me, I hope I'm short on that. Not the most interesting topic of the day, but I am an ex-professional tennis player who, in 1987, had the opportunity to start working in the biggest sports, entertainment, and media agency in the world, which is IMG, and had the ability to stay there for 31 years. I started as a junior tennis agent. I worked as a tennis event manager, as a TV sales manager. I've been across all the revenue streams in the sports industry. And I was fortunate in 2006 to be appointed as a head of the tennis division, which is one of the divisions most powerful in the company. What we do in IMG is basically, in tennis, basically two things. We represent tennis players, the caliber of people like Novak Djokovic or Serena Williams, Maria Sharapova, Kei Nishikori, etc. And then we run or we help others to run tennis events. So we are involved in tournaments like Wimbledon, the Australian Open, Miami Open, Rio Open, etc. So this is a division that at the time was built by 62 people across the world, running events and representing tennis players worldwide. And it was very exciting times. Our revenues were around $100 million per year. And it was very, very challenging, as I said. I did that for 12 years, until 2018, where I became a sports consultant. I am still consulting IMG in various projects. I am also consulting other companies like Cosmos, which is the company owned by FC Barcelona football player Gerard Piqué, which organizes the Davis Cup. I'm also consulting a company called Sela Sports, which is the biggest sports and entertainment agency in the Middle East. So that's what I'm doing today, and I'm happy to be here with you today.
Fantastic. I think I'm just going to touch a bit on what you've spoken about in your journey, because I think it's so brilliant. Maybe we haven't actually heard this from the other speakers, which is why I want to highlight it with you. Can you just talk to us about, how, what your journey was like, growing with one company for that long? Because you mentioned that, you joined IMG very early at a lower position and you worked your way up to a very influential position. So please share a bit of what that's like, and what challenges you faced and how you overcame those challenges.
Well, the thing I quickly realized when I joined the company is the talent I had around me. People were so smart, so knowledgeable, so focused on growing the company rather than in their individual goals. So for me, it was a source of knowledge. It was very easy to learn and to grow my career because the talent I had around me, as I said, which was a worldwide talent, it was immense. I had the best executives in the industry at the time working in the company, and I was very intrigued and very keen on learning from all of them. So that, I think that was a key in my career. And the other key thing was that the company was always bigger than me, in the sense that I always found ways to grow my career. I mean, the company was good enough to provide me new challenges. So the reason why I spent there 31 years is because I managed to change my job 5 times. In other companies or in other careers, you have to jump from one company to another to grow.
Yeah.
While in my case, I didn't have to do that. I simply had to change my job inside the company and go for a bigger one.
Okay, fantastic. And with all that change and that progression, is there one specific skill that you think, supported you and helped you to develop in your positions?
Yeah, I've been trying to give you the proper answer to this question, which I think is the most important one in the summit. And let me tell you that, and then I'll elaborate, because I'm going to sound a bit obvious in my answer. But my answer is that the skill I will highlight is the importance of working hard. Okay, and this, it might sound a bit obvious to you, but over the years, I've seen so many talented people, so many smart people failing in their attempt to succeed in their careers because they thought that talent was enough to achieve that. And the reality is that talent is very important, but it's nothing if you don't put next to it the ability to work very hard. And when I mean very hard, it doesn't mean putting a lot of hours in your office. It means basically to channel your talent in the right way, making an effort to understand your boss and the people that work around you. What are the challenges? What are the goals? Understanding your clients, understanding your customers, what are their needs, understanding that you need to help others so others can help you, understanding that it's only as much you can do alone. And many people are thinking only about themselves, and they don't understand that, for example, their work ethics are going to be very important in their careers, because the reputation that they build over the years and that the people are seeing and observing on a daily basis are going to dictate your future and the opportunities that might come available to you in the future.
Okay, that's fantastic. I think with that, actually, I want to put this into perspective for any viewers, maybe some young people watching this and just thinking of what you specifically said about working hard and how that looks. Maybe a scenario where someone thinks they're working hard, but they're not actually, just the full understanding of what are the steps I need to take to ensure that I'm working hard and being consistent to working hard in order not to fail. How can the live audience apply that?
I think that you need to be an observer. Many times we focus on looking at ourselves, and we don't pay enough attention to the people that we have around us. And as I said at the beginning of my speech, I was so fortunate to have so many people that were much smarter and talented than me. And if I look over the years, I see myself how I evolved, how little patience I had at the beginning, how much patience I have today, how much time I spend in reflecting about listening what people say to me. So being an observer is going to help you a lot. And equally important to being an observer, I think you need to develop your empathy. You need to have empathy to understand what are the goals and the problems from the people around you. Unless you make that effort to understand what they need to achieve, how can you help them? How can you be part of that? Is not going to work for you. So I think empathy these days have become a very important thing, knowing how to learn to listen people to people, and we live in days that you get so much information. You are loaded with information. Some of that information is not useful. So you have to spend the time to understand where is your source of information that is going to help you to become a better person and a better professional employee.
Fantastic. I see a lot about being critical. It's not just about working hard, but being critical about yourself in that journey to ensure that you're being smart, you're being empathetic, and making sure that you're actually being productive in what you're doing. Fantastic. Now, Fernando, I'm just going to shift a little bit, from the personal side to the global perspective. You've worked in a global company. You've been based in a huge city. You also currently consult for a Middle East company. So I just want to know what your perspective about the importance of sports development and peace in the global society today.
Well, I mean, it is huge. I think sports is a very important thing in society. First of all, at the first level, helps people to be physically and mentally healthy. Number two, it provides entertainment of first quality. If you look at TV, the programs that get the higher TV ratings are live sporting events.
Yeah.
So that also provides, sports also provides many jobs in the world. It gives the opportunity for people to have a living. So I think that the fact that you and your team are putting together this summit, it helps the people to be knowledgeable about the importance of the sports industry. And it helps them to understand that beyond being an athlete, you can turn that into a very successful career, because I believe that sports and entertainment will be very important in society, more important than even today in the years to come.
Fantastic. And actually, one of the comments that we had come in was it's just so brilliant. Someone is watching this live and is so fascinated to be speaking with someone like you who has worked with so many big names in such an influential company. And I mean, I think I share my perspective. Just to put some things into perspective, Fernando was actually a guest speaker in my university, where after him he spoke as a guest, I asked a few questions, and afterwards he followed up with me wanting to support me on my journey. And for me, that was brilliant, because someone like him, who's very established in what he's doing, has taken a step back to actually look out, come to university, speak to the upcoming sports students, and put something out for them. So I just want you to speak a bit about your involvement with young people, how important you think it is for people like yourself who have been so privileged to be working at such top and senior positions in amazing companies. So what do you think is a role for people like you to play in terms of nurturing the next generation of people who are passionate about sports, which is people like me?
Well, I think in life there is a moment that you need to start to give back. And again, I was so fortunate because people in my career took the time and the patience to teach me how to behave, how to learn. And I think it's only fair when after the years and you see such a skilled people working very hard, people moving from their countries to go and study abroad, leave their families, spend their money and the money that they don't have in trying to build their careers. And you can tell that in some ways they are a little bit lost. In some ways they lack to touch the reality, because even if the schools are brilliant and great, are not touching in some cases the day-to-day of the reality of the businesses. They are very theoretical and are very important and very useful to learn, but the reality sometimes starts the day you leave your university. So, if I can make a contribution and help some people, obviously it's something that you have to be very selective, because I still have my job and my work to do. But anytime I see the opportunity to help someone who is interested in being helped, because sometimes that's not the case, it's a pleasure for me to help people like you and others.
Fantastic. I think that's definitely valuable. And I hope other people who, are in such situations will also learn from Fernando and see the importance of giving back to young people who are interested in being helped. And that's a side note to actually the younger viewers watching. It's about, Fernando briefly mentioned it, but, aside from just looking for help, it's very important to accept that support, and because someone is taking time off their daily life and their hard work to actually support you. So it will be very important for anyone listening in to just take note of that. It's very important to be open towards that support. Now, Fernando, I'll just shift a little bit. So we have a question that's just come in from one of our viewers, which will pop up in a moment. And the question reads that sports development is an active effort in many countries. What do you think is lacking in terms of efforts by countries in South Asia to garner more commercial support in order to make it financially sustainable?
Okay, very good question. The problem in Southeast Asia is that the marketing and the sponsorship market is not very developed yet. What that means? It means that companies are barely starting to analyze demographics, to analyze how the people react to direct marketing or to sponsorship. So decisions are not always taken by rational reasons, but are taken by emotional reasons. So I think that the next step for all these countries is to embrace marketing and the importance of marketing. But you need the middle class to grow, because it's no point, in advertising washing machines through sponsorship if people cannot buy them, right? So at the moment that the middle class goes up in terms of numbers, the marketing will be more powerful, and then is when sponsorship is going to be a key element of the marketing mix of the companies. They'll be able to invest more and get better returns. If you take a country like India, for example, the only way you can get a return in your sponsorship efforts is basically if you invest in cricket, because it's the largest sport in the country. But there are many other countries, sports that can get any sponsorship money because they don't get the ratings and they don't get the attention from the fans that they need for the company to get a good return. So I think that's the difference between Southeast Asia and Europe or the US.
Fantastic. I really hope that answered your question, Juhi. You can leave a comment if you know that was a brilliant response. I think it was fantastic. Fernando, I just want to ask, in terms of, it could be in terms of tennis or in development in consultancy. I just want to know where you see the future, where you hope the sports industry will develop to in something specific. You can talk about consultancy, tennis, just something that you've worked in, something that you relate with. What is your vision for development in that sector?
Well, obviously, sport has been heavily impacted by the COVID-19, and that opens a big question mark on how live events and massive events are going to be developed in the future, how people are going to react to sit in a 90,000 people stadium next to each other, how people are going to react to walking on the street together with this amount of people. I think the industry is going to have to become very smart to put devices in the stadiums and to structure the stadiums in a way that people feel safe, because that's going to be the most important thing. It is no question that we all can't wait to go to the next football match to cheer for our team. But there is one thing more important than that, that is your own safety. So I think clubs, teams, organizations, governing bodies, they're going to have to develop a way to provide safety to people, to tell them it's no risk for you to come here. Maybe they're going to have to measure the temperature before you get to the stadium. Maybe they're going to have to provide masks for people to attend the matches, etc. I think it's going to be a combination of things which won't be too hard on the fans, so they can embrace and then continue to enjoy. So it's no question that nothing is going to be the same. It's going to be changed. And we all, one more time, we all going to have to adapt to the new world of sports. But I think it's exciting. I think we can only get better and become better organizers of events, for sure. We all were making a few mistakes, paying not enough attention to things that were in front of our eyes. And now we're going to have to do it and do it better and quickly.
Yeah, no, that's correct. And actually, it's interesting that you brought up COVID-19, because for you, being based in Barcelona, I want to know how that has affected you specifically, business-wise, aside from, just in the sports industry. How has, this whole pandemic, what challenges are you facing currently?
Well, it's no question that the entire sports world has been put on hold. So many projects I was working on are on hold. You don't know for how long it's going to be. I believe that geographically it's going to be different. It's not going to be the same in Spain, where, for example, we're working very heavily for the organization of the Davis Cup Finals 2020, which is supposed to happen in the city of Madrid in November. So we hope that we still have time to put it together. But, for example, another event that I am working heavily is the Spanish Super Cup to be played in Jeddah in January 2021. We hope that things are going to be in place for them too. There's no question that all the events that we were working for in the next 6 months are on hold, and some of them won't happen in 2020. So in that regard, it's not an easy situation. It impacts many people, and I hope we can go back to work soon in all these projects.
True, fantastic. And it's very nice that you're optimistic about it. So I think just one thing that could be very beneficial from you is just to share, as we wrap up, one piece of advice that you can give to our viewers today, people who want to go into the sports industry, maybe who are yourself, a couple of years back before you joined IMG at that starting position, what are the key things, or what do you need to survive having a career in sport? What can you share to help them?
Okay, I think that what you have to think when you hope to have the ability to start working in a company like this, you need to ask yourself, what are you bringing to that company? Why the company should hire you? And it is very important that you have something that differentiates you from all the people who are having the same goal. In my case, when I wanted to join IMG, I thought that my differential point was that I was an ex-professional tennis player and that I knew the game better than many other people because I played on the tour and I know everything about the sport. So you have to think yourself why the company will have the interest to hire you, because you speak 6 languages, because you've been a professional tennis athlete, because you have been doing training or having the opportunity to do small jobs in a number of companies in the industry as an intern. You have to build your case. You have to have a compelling case, a compelling CV. You have to work on your CV before you approach the company to prove them that you have something that can be helpful for the company.
Brilliant. I think that's one of my biggest learning points from you today, just to reiterate that, the importance of actually making sure you're prepared and you know what you bring to the table, you know what skills you have and what unique value that you hold towards that specific company. So there's a lot of preparation actually to do before walking into an interview, rather than just aside from preparing your CV, but also thinking about yourself and your skill set. So there's some evaluation to be done there. I think that's brilliant, Fernando. That's brilliant advice, and I really hope the viewers will value that. The final question, of course, how can the viewers interact with you? I'm sure there's a lot of people excited to be speaking to someone like you. If they would like to follow up on a certain conversation, ask you some questions, is there any way that they can reach out to you?
I think the best way is to send me an email. You can provide my email address, which is fernando.soler273@gmail.com. And, I'll do my best to try to come back to you guys.
Fantastic. There you have it. You can email him at fernando.soler273@gmail.com. And if you forget that or want to get in touch with him, you can reach out to myself or Ed, and we'll provide you with how to get in touch with Fernando. I think that was a brilliant session. I've learned so much, which is what I love about hosting today. So to the live audience, please share your biggest takeaway from Fernando. You can do that live in the comments here on Facebook, or you can take it to Twitter and use the hashtag Spirit of Sport. Thank you so much for joining us, Fernando. It was such an honor to have you. Always a pleasure, and I'm definitely enjoying learning from you.
Likewise, and best of luck for the rest of the day.
Thank you very much. I think we can bring Ed on back now and we'll carry on.